There is a situation at Ferrari that the team isn't happy about, but recent revelations have brought it to light. Leclerc is considering switching teams after his contract expires in 2024. It's not an ideal situation for either Ferrari or Leclerc. However, he is well aware that he cannot rely on his team when it comes to winning championships anytime soon. That is why he could on the hunt for another team soon rather than later, and that soon could be much sooner than everybody else expects. So stick around to the end to see if we see Leclerc in Mercedes. In the early stages of the 2022 season, Ferrari emerged as the championship favourites, with Leclerc winning 2 of the first 3 races and Verstappen retiring in the races won by Leclerc. That is why the Monegasque had a 46-point lead over Verstappen after the first 3 races, which is why losing this lead after 3 races is something very painful for him to overcome. Leclerc had a total of 9 pole positions in 2022, but only 3 wins, which means that his win-to-pole conversion was very low. He managed to win 2 races out of 3 after starting from pole position and 1 after starting from P2, meaning that the situation is very bad for Leclerc and his ability to win from pole position. But it's not Leclerc to be blamed for the result that he scored in 2022, as the team failed to capitalize on multiple occasions in Silverstone, Spa, Hungary, Brazil and Monaco thanks to their tactical blunders. In Monaco, Leclerc lost 3 positions in the pit stop, something that was really painful to watch, with Leclerc swearing and screaming on the radio. In Silverstone, he was left as a sitting duck ahead of Sainz, Perez and Hamilton in the ending stages of the race, where Leclerc didn't pit for new tyres, but all 3 behind him did. This was the race where reports said that Leclerc and Binotto are no longer on speaking terms and that the situation isn't perfect between these two. Quite honestly, who could blame them? In Hungary, Ferrari had the information from Alpine that the hard compound tyre isn't working well on this track. Quite frankly, every team had this information, which is why they opted for the hard and soft compound tyres. After starting P2 and P3, Ferrari ended P4 and P6 with Sainz and Leclerc, respectively. On top of that, Verstappen won the race after starting P10, which was another blow to Leclerc and the Maranello team's championship aspirations. The situations kept on going, and in Spa, Leclerc was pitted to grab the fastest lap and the extra point away from Verstappen, but he ended up losing 2 points as he lost position to Alonso. In Brazil, Leclerc was the only driver on intermediate tyres throughout the qualifying for the sprint race because Ferrari believed that there was heavy rain in turn 12. When they called Leclerc to the pit again, he was well past the entrance of the pit delta, which is why he was very furious with the outcome of the sprint race, finishing P10. All in all, Ferrari was on the receiving end of things, and Leclerc isn't happy with how things currently stand in the team. Throughout the first couple of races, he was the championship contender, and after quite some time, Ferrari gained some confidence that they could have the first champion after 2007. However, Ferrari being Ferrari, they found a way of messing up things yet again, which is why it was inevitable that Binotto's seat was under a huge question mark. Although Binotto brought the team exactly where the management of Ferrari would want him to go, back to winning tracks in 2022, when the challenge of winning a championship was presented to them, they folded hard, and their mistakes aren't something that the drivers are going to tolerate, which is why Leclerc has been rumored to leave Ferrari as soon as 2025. Leclerc was rumored to sign a contract with Ferrari earlier in 2021 that would keep him in the team until the beginning of 2025, but that didn't happen. Now that Leclerc has suffered from the season he had in 2022, rest assured that he'll want to extract his options and see what he has ahead of him that does not involve Ferrari. Charles is a driver that deserves to be treated with respect and with proper management, which is something that Mercedes can truly provide for him. After all, Hamilton's time in Mercedes is nearing an end, and if he manages to help the Brackley-based team find the perfect improvement in the upcoming 2 years, then rest assured that he'll be more than happy to leave his spot to Leclerc. When asked by Leclerc about his possible choices after 2024 and him joining Ferrari, Leclerc was a bit surprised by the question, but he never said that he was committed long-term to Ferrari. He said, "2024 is a long time away and there is still time left at Ferrari. Being at this team has always been my dream. My objective at the moment is to win with Ferrari and then we'll see." What's very important to understand at this point is the fact that Leclerc isn't ruling out the possibility that he can leave the team if they don't provide him with the winning machinery. To be honest, this is something that Leclerc deserves more than anyone else, and every F1 fan was truly sad to see him crash in France and in Imola. These were the drivers' mistakes, but that doesn't mean that the other blunders were his mistakes as well. Leclerc was also asked about Binotto, and his diplomatic and rather mysterious answer says it all when it comes to how the team should act regarding Binotto and him being sacked from the team. When talking about this matter, Leclerc said, "I've learned not to think about it and not to comment, but generally the best approach is for everyone to be on the same wavelength to make the right decisions together. It doesn't necessarily mean changing people, but it's about the way communication works between engineers, which needs to be clearer." Mattia Binotto also spoke about the 2022 season, saying that while the team made a lot of mistakes, they learned from them and are looking to come back even stronger in the next season. The principal of Ferrari added, "Yes, we made mistakes, but you can hide that better if you have a fast and reliable car. Red Bull had a clearer path because they only had to reduce the weight of the car. For us, it was more difficult because we had to improve the aerodynamic concept. Did we make the right decision with our priorities between 2022 and 2023? Only 2023 will tell us if it was the right decision. Still, Ferrari has a driver that is capable of winning races and potentially championships. The problem is that the team doesn't know how to manage themselves and the drivers in situations under pressure. We've seen that multiple times throughout the 2022 season, and that is why the frustrations are growing more and more with every passing day with Leclerc towards Binotto. What will happen next? Obviously, Ferrari faces a huge challenge, and according to Leo Turini, a well-known Italian journalist who is close to Ferrari, the team is discussing sacking Binotto and replacing him as a team principal at Ferrari. Turini also added that if the team chooses to sack Binotto, it will be a mistake for the team because this is not a situation that will be solved by the sacking of team members. Change is not a guarantee of victory. Red Bull is behind and our Ferrari still loses anyway? John Elkann will surely point out to Mattia Binotto, the 1-2 finish of Mercedes in Brazil. There are a lot of discussions and it is inevitable to be so. The World Championship has been missing from Ferrari for too long. But that would be a mistake. Why? Since 2008, Ferrari has passed from Jean Todt to Stefano Domenicali, from Marco Mattiacci to Maurizio Arrivabene. The result? 0-2 lead, to put it as Jose Mourinho. With that being said, it's obvious that Binotto's seat is one that he doesn't want to be in as of now. The team principal brought the team exactly where the management of the team would want it to be, but it's inevitable that they need to manage much better when they are facing championship-winning situations like they did throughout the 2022 season. Leclerc's loyalty isn't an infinite source that Ferrari can bet on, and that is why the team needs to do a much better job, potentially replacing the strategy team, and it's obvious that the team reached a point of no return between Leclerc and Binotto. What do you think is next for Leclerc? Do you think that he will jump into the Mercedes seat if that is offered to him in 2025? Let us know in the comments below.